Howdy, folks. Happy Monday. Not thank God it's Monday because nobody thanks God it's Monday. We have a few things to discuss today. We'll keep doing short shows on Monday, Wednesday, and Friday. What's that, Randy? Cat got your tongue on what? He'll explain in the chat. We'll start with the pre-show. Go ahead, Ross.
So let's talk about baseball. Right now we've got the All-Star break. But the biggest thing for me, or the biggest misnomer, is the whole wild card situation. So, right now the Mets are a game in. Like I went the other day, they won. They barely won, but they won. And I only say barely won because they finally opened up a game against the Rockies, but it was tight for a while, and the Rockies just stink. Like they're gonna have 100 losses. But here's the point: they're a game in. A game over the Diamondbacks, a game over the Padres, 1.5 over the Pirates, 3 over the Reds, 3 over the Giants. I'll kill it there. I'll kill it for the Cubs. So how all in should the Mets go? Should they really let Pete Alonso play on this for the rest of the year and let him walk? Probably not, but they might, which is something you hate. But they did this with Darryl Strawberry too. So this wouldn't be the first time they've done this for no assets. And then the other thing is, right now, they're a half game out of the second wild card, but I don't foresee them getting the second wild card. I think it's third or bust. Well, the thing about that third wild card is you play 3 games, 3 consecutive days in a row, and their bullpen stinks. Now, of course, they're going to try and put a facade up for that, and they've been trying to do that all year, and it still stinks. And so my point is, can you even trade good assets or any assets to try and build a bullpen to win one round of the playoffs when you're going to have to play most likely 3 consecutive days? This whole thing is like a house of cards. Me as a fan, hey, sure. Do I want him to do well? Yes. But I don't want him to spend assets to do it. I don't want him to lose assets on Alonso, which they might. And if they make the playoffs, can I have this Tug McGraw mentality that I believe that they could beat anybody? No, I just can't. I'm going to root for them, but I don't believe.
Well, I look at the wild card races in the first in the AL, and the teams that are going to probably trade relief pitchers are everybody from Detroit, who's 7 games out of the wild card, to Chicago, who's who's 27-71. If they have anybody in their bullpen that's decent. And but the thing is, it's like, okay, you've got the 3 wildcard teams: New York, Minnesota, Boston. Kansas City's 2 games out. Houston's 3.5. Tampa might not dump at 48-48, but after that, they're probably Jays will be dumping. Yeah, that's what Randy says. Yeah, oh yeah. I mean, they're 9.5 out, and they're terrible in the National League. I mean, the only 2 teams that are probably going to trade, maybe 3, are Washington, Colorado, and Miami. And then nobody else is going to, because everybody else is within 3.5 games of the wild card. I mean, I heard somebody, I can't remember what baseball writer it was, that said they should move the trade deadline to, say, August 15th instead of July 31st, because then maybe, teams will be more sorted out at that point. Yeah, maybe. But I don't know. A
lot of teams, I can tell you, there's nobody great to get for your bullpen that you're not going to have to give up some prospects for. And to me, it's not worth it. It's just not worth it. It's like, if you make it on your own steam, fine. They already got a guy that they may have to get the option on for next year from Tampa, who is just willing to just let him go for considerate, trade player to be named later because they just wanted to lose the contract. Like, that's where this part becomes a facade. And baseball, now, look, I saw what happened with Dustin May. I have to be honest. I've had a lot of dinners in my life, more than Dustin May, and I've never had an esophagus problem where all of a sudden I had to get an operation.
I mean, what did he do? What did he do? What did you swallow a bone from a chicken wing or something?
Know. Maybe. I mean, it's crazy. I just never heard that.
I have Dustin May in my Stratomatic baseball league. I drafted him in the second round 4 years ago. I've gotten about 75 innings out of the guy, and he's had Tommy John twice, I think. It's absurd.
Yeah.
I have to bring
baseball. Honestly, I think 5 teams have a chance to win, and that's about it. I think the rest is just going to be going through the motions. I hope I'm wrong, but I think
no, Randy. The real deadline is July 31st. Now, last year, I think the August 31st is, I think, the waiver deadline. It used to be,
you still have to like match it up, and they can pull the waiver thing, and you're still the claim, and you're still. It gets a little complicated.
Well, see, what happened last year, apparently, a number of teams who at a certain point they were out of it, and they said, you know what, we would rather just waive this guy and let somebody claim him rather than, pay him the salary for the rest of the year. So they just waived players and would get nothing for them.
No, that does happen, but teams ahead of, let's say, the Yankees or even the Mets, they have to get to them, and other teams might block it.
Sure, but if they put the claim in, they have to claim the guy.
I know.
So, I mean, okay, if you're a team that wants to block the Yankees from getting a player, fine. Okay, but then you're going to cost yourself millions of dollars to block the Yankees. If you want to do that, that's great, but it doesn't seem to be worth it. But one thing I want to bring up just before we start the show, and like I said, we're going to do a short show today. I'm not the biggest soccer fan. But when it's something like, like the final of the Euro Cup and England is involved. England, by the way, folks, are the Toronto Maple Leafs of soccer. They have not won the World Cup since 1966 in spite of being a world soccer power. They made the Euro Cup, which is sort of like, I guess it's like the World Cup of hockey in between the Olympics. This is like the championship in between the World Cup. They made the final 4 years ago and lost. This year they made the final against Spain and lost. So they come just so close, and then they fall apart. That was fine. I mean, that was an interesting game. So
you actually watched.
What's that?
So you actually watched?
I watched it. Yeah. Now.
Whole game?
No, because I got for most of it, like most of the second half.
Okay.
Now the game that was here, that was in the U.S., the Copa America, that was being played in Miami. And if you read the accounts of what happened, now I think it used to be called Joe Robbie Stadium. Now I don't remember what the name of it is. It's the Hard Rock Stadium or whatever it is. It was Colombia and Argentina. The barricades were overcome by soccer fans. People got into the building without tickets. People who had tickets at a certain point couldn't get in because the place was overflowing with people. The match was delayed. Like, I went inside. I was out with a friend at a coffee place and went in to see what the score of the second half was, and it was 15 minutes in because they delayed the start of the game, I think 45 minutes to an hour. So it was a complete cluster. And apparently
for winning this, that's my point. For winning this, what does the team get for winning this?
A trophy. I mean,
okay. And I saw one of the trophies, Mike. It was literally this big.
Oh yeah.
It was like, it looked like a giant salt shaker or a big martini glass. Like it was like it wasn't impressive.
No, I mean, it's not okay. There are. I mean, come on. Is the Super Bowl trophy really, the Vince Lombardi trophy, is it really impressive looking? No. That means that's the one nice thing. That's the one nice thing about hockey is that the Stanley Cup is an impressive.
No, I know. Aside from that, I'm just saying if people are clawing to get in the building, that's all you get for winning, and it doesn't count for anything in the standings. It's like, it's just a glorified
it's national pride, you know that.
Oh,
and but I'll say this: if it was, and I'm pretty sure if it was the stadium that the Miami Dolphins play, they're going to be expecting some recompense from the body that funded this Copa America, because apparently suites got trashed. A lot of things got
That's what I'm
trashed.
saying. It's like, is it this important? I mean, I guess it sold tickets, but my God.
Well, I mean, I don't think so, but they apparently do. So anyway, let's get started. Hello, Hockey World. Today is Monday, July 15th, 2024.
So I just looked it up, Mike. Is Russ Cohen from Sportsology. Copa America is the world's oldest international football tournament. Okay, great.
Okay. It's not as impressive as the World Cup, but whatever.
No.
And I'm Michael Agello, and this is the HockeyBuzzcast here on HockeyBuzz.com. Okay, we'll start with the big news of the day. And, again, maybe that's overemphasizing big news on July 15th. Hey, folks, by the way, it's about 2 months till training camp.
It's still a long 2 months, though.
Yes. The reports out of Russia are that Evgeny Kuznetsov, who, if you remember, signed the big deal with the Capitals, then really didn't and this was after, he had a great Stanley Cup final in 2018. He signed a big deal. They thought, here's the guy who will take over as the number one center after Backstrom, sort of ages out. And then he really went south and didn't show up and had some off the ice issues and some things that got him banned internationally. Then he gets traded at the deadline last year, half of his salary retained. I think it was a 3rd round pick that they got for him. He didn't play badly for Carolina, but he had another year left in his contract, 50% retained. And the report is that he is going to terminate his contract in the NHL and will sign a 4-year deal with SKA St. Petersburg. I'll tell you, the thing is that, I'm sure the Capitals are very happy because now that wipes off the retention if he vacates the deal. But Carolina, after losing Gensel, after losing Teravainen, after their losses on defense, they were probably depending on Kuznetsov to help out.
They were.
And now that's gone.
Now they got money to spend, but they don't have a player.
Well, they got money to spend, but there's nobody out there now.
That's what I'm saying. But they lose a player, but they have money. It's like, yeah, this is a bad spot for them to be in. And this definitely could affect the start of their season. There's no question about it.
Well, the question is, will this change? Because remember, Neckish or Nietzsche's. I keep hearing different pronunciations.
Yeah,
I'm going to say Neckish until the cows come home. I'm just going to stick with it. He filed for arbitration. More than likely, it's going to be a 1-year deal. He's 2 years away from being unrestricted. So, if they get a 1-year deal, they get a 1-year deal. But will this potentially loosen up Eric Tulsky to potentially sign Neckish to a longer-term, higher salary deal?
No.
Right.
Well,
because
it's going to be they feel the way they feel about him. It's going to still be a short-term deal, and we can get rid of you. We're going to get rid of you
if it's beneficial to them. I mean, this is the thing.
They're not pushing him out the door, but they would rather trade him if they could, because we know the coach doesn't think he's a center, and they probably think he's capped up on his points already, which I don't think he is, but they might feel that way.
Yeah, I mean, the way that they're approaching this Neckish situation is now. Yes, Andrew in the chat is saying Seth Jarvis. I mean, Seth Jarvis is an RFA, so that's almost $4 million that you can apply towards him. And I mean, if you're going to gamble on who they're going to spend more money on in terms of a long-term deal, it might be Seth Jarvis, because Seth Jarvis, I think they have more faith in Seth Jarvis than they do.
They do. There's no question they have more faith in Seth Jarvis.
Yeah,
I don't even think that's an issue. But Daniel Sprong, they're not going to go crazy with Daniel Sprong unless he starts doing it multiple years in a row.
Well, he's done it 2 years in a row, but the problem is he's done it as a 4th liner, and everybody seems to like. everybody seems to be fearful that, to play him more than 10, 11 minutes. I mean, he scored 20 goals playing 10 minutes a game.
I know. But is that sustainable? Like, that's really what I'm getting at. And
well, he did pretty well.
You think it isn't.
He did pretty well, pretty close to that with Detroit last year, but Detroit didn't want to pay him either. So they didn't qualify him. So it must be something. I mean, I've heard, well, he's not a great teammate. I mean, I don't know. I'm not in the locker room.
I don't know what's going on with him, but there certainly seems to be an issue where they don't believe he's worthy of a long-term, of any kind of term on his deal.
Now, I didn't read it, but I saw it was tweeted out on the Players Tribune Twitter page that Steven Stamkos wrote an article titled "Thank You, Tampa Bay." I'm sure it was classy because Steven Stamkos is a classy guy. Yeah. Again, and I'll just reiterate this. They may recover from the departure of Stamkos on the ice in terms of, Jake Gensel may score as many goals, and Jake Gensel is younger and he's less injury prone, whatever. I do not think the Tampa Bay Lightning will recover in terms of the optics of the way that they treated a guy who was the first pick in the draft in 2008, and it was their captain for I don't know how many years, was the centerpiece of that organization. It's an embarrassment. I understand, the dollars and cents and the numbers and everything. Like Kevin said the one time when he was on the show, there are certain players where you calculate those things and you factor them in. But then there are certain players that you don't, and Stamkos is one of those that you don't. And I don't like the way they treated him, and I think it's going to come back to bite him in the end.
Yeah, I think they're losing that shot on the power play. I think for me, it's sort of like reminiscent of when the Rangers, didn't do anything with Leach, and for years, Brian Leach was mad at Glenn Sader. Like, quite frankly, he was so mad that he wouldn't do anything with the Rangers for a little while. Then he got over it. He was doing stuff with the Bruins first. So, yeah, I mean, those things, they harbor bad feelings. There's just no way around it.
Yeah, I mean, I know that you mentioned, that Hedman, who's going to be I don't know if he was named the captain yet, but the assumption is
the assumption is he'll be, but they could give it to McDonough too. I mean,
yeah, you could that would sort of smack Hedman. You know what I'm saying? It's like you're going to make a guy captain who you traded away and then you brought back instead of the guy who's been there all this time. Although this is the organization that traded their captain, or excuse me, that didn't offer him a competitive deal and let him walk in free agency.
One other thing, Mike, I just noticed this, and I think it's worthy of mentioning. Going back to Sprong for a minute, so the fact that he is a UFA and Pat Brisson is his agent, and he still doesn't have a contract. Usually, Pat Brisson could get everybody a contract. Think about the guys that Pat Brisson has gotten contracts for. So something's up with this.
Yeah, and he's only able to get him 1-year deals.
Right.
So I don't know.
These must be the softest of soft goals, and we just don't pay attention to it. They have to be.
I don't think they're soft.
Well, I mean, there's got to be. I mean, maybe he doesn't play a lick of defense, doesn't want to, and so that's why a team like Carolina is not jumping on it as an example.
Yeah. So let's. Oh, here we go. Dr. Kluche 34 in chat says Aaron Portzline is saying Dean Evison and Jay Woodcroft are flying to Columbus this week for in-person interviews. I mean, Woodcroft was. I can't say he's a failure in Edmonton because Edmonton under Woodcroft played the way I expected Edmonton to play, which is like crap. They got Knobloch sort of gotten them straightened out. I don't think it was. I mean, Woodcroft got them to a conference final. So, I mean, what do you think?
It is viewed as, he had the guys to get there, not necessarily him. And then this year, it didn't work out. I will say it like this. if I were a Columbus fan, I would not be thrilled with this news.
Say it again.
If I were a Columbus fan, I would not be thrilled at this news. Neither of these coaches are gonna like make the fans think, "Oh wow, now we're really on the right track." I don't think either one of them are gonna make them feel that way. I'm not saying they're bad coaches. I'm just saying I think Columbus needed a actual coach that has a lot of experience in winning, because I think they don't know how to win anymore.
Yeah.
When's the last time they've won? How many years ago are we talking?
Well, they made the playoffs in 2020 and they advanced to the second round.
Right. So it's
2019. They beat Tampa Bay in the first round. So,
right. So it's 4 years going on 5 years again. It's like, and before that, it was like what, one time in the last 8 or something.
Yeah, I mean,
they need to get on track.
And if you look at their roster, and I did like for the Hockey News, I did sort of a matchup of the Sabres and the Blue Jackets. I mean, their goaltending is in tatters right now. You got Merzlikins and Tarasov. They have a really good number one in Werenski, who's had some durability issues. You know, they added Damon Severson. They've got a few other decent blue liners, but it's not incredibly deep. I mean,
it's not enough. That's all.
Yeah, and then up front, I think Fantilli is excellent. The Goudreau signing, I mean, he's still a good player, but he's sort of on an island. And then you've got Fantilli, and you've got Kent Johnson, and you've got a lot of young players, but there's just not enough there. So, I mean, it's gonna be tough for that team. I mean, I've got them. I'm not penciled in. I've got them penned in for 8th place in the Metro.
Is that red pen? Like that's it?
Yeah, red pen from my days as a teacher. It's like, I just don't see them. Like, I mean, I'm looking. I'm looking at. Sorry, I'm just messaging somebody who just tried to call me. I can't take a call during the show.
Yeah, I mean, look, Dr. Kluche, we understand what Woodcroft's winning percentage is, but we're also telling you, go look at the team. That's what we're saying. Go look
I
at
don't know.
He's a decent coach, but he's not a guy that's going to get your team to the conference final every year. No.
I don't know if this is true, so I'm not going to mention it until I see somebody report it here, because I don't trust Michael Cohen after he lied at that trial in New York. But let me just check something here.
Can't believe you're accusing him of lying, Mike.
Oh yeah, no. Let's see here. No. Okay, no. So anyway, Randy was asking me, do I like the? I'll stay off the Toronto stuff for a second here. But sticking with Columbus, there was a report about Don Waddell seeking to find a home for Patrick Laine.
Right. And
this is the problem. He makes, I think it's 8.7.
Too much money.
Yeah, I mean, now, okay, if he's going to retain salary on him to get him a home, okay, fine. But I'm just double checking. Yeah, it's not just 1 year; it's 2 years.
Right.
So I don't know. It's going to be pretty tough here for them to find a landing spot for Laine, especially. I don't even know what the off the ice issues are. So I'm not going to go into them, but I don't know. I mean, yeah, Michael in the chat, how do you trade someone in the league assistance program? Very carefully. I mean, the other team is going to have to understand what the nature of the problem is. I mean, if it's substance abuse, they're going to have to be. And the thing is, are you abrogating any kind of responsibility by saying, well, we can't say anything? Is it like HIPAA? Is it like where you can't say?
I don't know, but I think he's starting a year with them. That's what I think.
I mean, it doesn't seem like he wants to stay with them. I mean,
I don't think he has a choice. Like, he's still under contract.
You can say, I don't want to play.
Oh yeah, he could just walk away. But how many guys walk away from their money?
Well, no, I mean, who the hell it was the guy from the Sabres, Berglund.
Yes. Yeah,
And he did,
the father.
and
yeah.
Yeah,
He's the
so
father of the Flyers draft pick, Jack.
yes. Okay, let's see here. There were some questions in the chat here. What do you think of the Edmonton trade made today? It's a blockbuster. I don't know if you saw this one between Edmonton and Ottawa here, Russ.
No, I missed it. I've been doing shows. I've been writing.
Ottawa acquires Xavier Bourgault and Jake Chason from Edmonton for Roby Yarventi and a 4th-round pick.
I mean, Yarventi's okay.
I mean, none of these guys played in the NHL last year, I don't believe. I don't even think any of them played a game. So, yeah, I don't know.
So where did Yarventi go again? Sorry?
Yarventi went to Edmonton.
He went to Edmonton. I actually like him. I think I'm going to say advantage Edmonton here, very slight.
Okay. Mike, can you ask Russ if any other rookie other than Celebrini will play in the NHL next season?
Karagoche.
No. From this
you mean from the draft? I mean, Miscellaneous might get the tail end or even a few games at the beginning. Other than that, maybe Detroit does something with Nygaard, but I don't think they will. And I don't think anybody's going to come like right out of college and then sign up. I don't foresee that. So really it's Celebrini, maybe Miscellaneous at some point, and maybe what's his name? Maybe Solberg if he just starts ripping it up. Is he going to? No, he's going back to the SHL, isn't he?
Who is?
Stein Solberg.
Yes, he is.
Yeah, so that's not maybe at the end of the year for him if he has a great year. That's a possibility, but other than that, I don't foresee anybody else.
A couple signings in the league. Ottawa signs Matt Sogard to a 2-year deal at league minimum.
That's smart.
Third goaltender behind Allmark and Anton Forsberg. If it was up to me, he'd be the number 2 because Anton Forsberg sucks.
Yeah.
The New York Rangers have agreed to terms with Matthew Robertson on a 1-year deal.
Well, that one's an interesting one only because he has size and he has toughness. And so, that's one where you say, all right, I can kind of see that this makes sense because, look, I mean, Chad Ruhwedel is not going to necessarily be the answer for them as an extra defenseman. And if they are looking for someone physical at some point, they may lean on him, especially if there's an injury.
Yeah. What was the other news here that I just saw? Oh, yeah. The Florida.
I didn't know it was Xavier Bourgault and Chason. I didn't hear and Chason. Sorry.
Yeah. I said both.
But it's an even trade. I'd say it's an even trade.
The Florida Panthers have a display up at the Hockey Hall of Fame, and part of their display is the chewed mouth guard of Matthew Tkachuk. That's sort of gross, honestly. It's like, do I really okay, it's an hour and a half drive for me and I love the Hockey Hall of Fame and I've been there many a time. Do I really want to go and pay the entrance fee to go see the chewed mouth guard of Matthew Tkachuk?
I guess if you like him, you would.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. No, that's not a point. That's not getting me on a plane if I'm flying.
He's a Stanley Cup champion, so it's a champion bite.
Okay. Somebody had asked in the chat, will I be drinking grape tang today? No. But I will say, I was given some inside information from a follower that different varieties of tang are available at a certain supermarket chain in Canada. I think it's Giant Tiger or something like that. I think that's the name of the chain. I'm not, but there is a location in Niagara Falls. So on one of these days in the next couple weeks when I have a time to drive up over the border, I will drive up to Niagara Falls and buy every variety of Tang and Giant Tiger. Thank you. And I will drink.
When is this happening, Mike? We need like dates and
I just said in the next couple weeks when I have time. What
now? Go tomorrow.
No, I don't. Tomorrow,
We're not doing a show. Go do it.
Yeah, and there's something going on tomorrow, so I can't do it. But I will be doing it in the next couple weeks. Okay. And then breaking news: Mike arrested at the border for smuggling grape Tang. Yeah, they're gonna think it's
cocaine. There's cocaine mixed in it.
They're gonna think it's fentanyl. There you go. Let's just see any other news here. Like I said, we're going to be keeping the shows unless we have Act back. Okay. Craig Morgan saying, also hearing that Utah is open to re-signing defenseman Victor Soderstrom. I would hope they'd re-sign him. The guy was a first-round pick. Why would they not re-sign him?
I don't know what's going on with him. He did have talent. Sure, they probably put him in the league a little too soon, no question. But, yeah, I think they should re-sign him. There is a good question from Esmir in the chat room here, Mike.
What was it?
Do you think Nate Robertson will get traded by Toronto?
Nate Robertson?
Well, he said Nate. Now he's messing it up. But the Robertson they had, Nick.
Nick Robertson. No, I wrote about this on Saturday. I said that I believe that the Leafs, before they consider trading him, because the guy scored 15 or 14 goals in 56 games, they should give him a legitimate crack in the top six, because they don't really have a scoring guy to replace Bertuzzi, and he does have a great shot and offensive ability. So I would say give him a shot. But will Berube do that? I don't know, because Berube likes big players, and if it isn't Nick Robertson, it's probably going to be somebody like Bobby McMahon, who scored 15 goals in, I think, a few more games. But my concern about Bobby McMahon is Bobby McMahon and Nick Robertson, they have the same trait. They seem to get hurt a lot. Yeah. But McMahon is bigger.
You call Dallas though, and they would take the Robertson brother. I do.
They might. It's worth a shot. But the thing is, I mean, if I'm not giving him away, I would want a young asset. So if you're going to give me Nils Lundqvist or something like that for Nick Robertson, I'd consider that. But maybe you can give me the healthy knee of Yanni Hakanpää. Maybe
there is none. That's the point. That trade will be voided.
And this is the thing. And this is the last thing. The contract was never officially announced. It's July 15th. It's 2 weeks, and there's been nary a word.
Because his knee is bad. That's why.
Well, if the contract wasn't signed, then let us know that.
Well, maybe there's an entanglement there.
Well, that's what I mean. We need to know, and nobody's saying anything. So, anyway, okay, yeah. Randy says Connor Zary for Nick Robertson. I think I'd do that. But isn't Connor Zary a smaller forward too?
Oh yeah.
Yeah, but that doesn't help. So, all right, we'll be back on Wednesday with another edition of the Hockey Buzzcast.
Mike will have Tang on Wednesday.
Not on Wednesday. For Russ going on, Michael Agello, thank you for watching, and remember, without the buzz, it's just hockey.